Good morning. This morning we read Jeremiah chapter 38 through to chapter 40 and verse 6. It starts with Jeremiah being thrown down a well, thrown into a cistern. And you can understand why that would be. Propaganda is important in wars. You have to keep up the morale of your own people, pull down the morale of your enemies. And Jeremiah, speaking the word of the Lord, was not bringing a good word to the people. He was telling them that the Lord was going to judge. They should surrender and run to the Babylonians. They shouldn't stand and fight. Of course, the army and the king's officials would regard that as enemy propaganda, and they threw him down the well. But it wasn't enemy propaganda, it was the word of the Lord. And Jeremiah, without fear or favor, spoke God's word. God was gracious to him and gave him allies, people who understood that what was happening, that he was speaking God's word. And so Jeremiah was pulled up out of the well and went before the king and told the king exactly what the Lord had said. The king didn't follow the counsel of Jeremiah, and so the city fell. And we read in chapter 39 the sadness of the city falling, what happened to Zedekiah and his family. The judgment of God that had been pronounced through Jeremiah was fulfilled. Sometimes speaking God's word to a society is hard. Sometimes we need to say to a nation, perhaps a nation we love and we live in, that they are not behaving righteously and will not enjoy God's blessing. Sometimes the church has to speak with prophetic voice, which will make us unpopular and will cause us to be criticized for running down the nation in which we live. But we are called to speak prophetically, to speak God's word without fear, without favor, not for the outcomes we desire, but what God has said. In our land, we speak against social injustice because that's what the Lord has called us to do. And we warn our nation's leaders that they need to consider and care for the poor if they want to be great in God's sight.